Hello everyone and welcome back to Angie B Crafts. Thank you for joining me. So today I am going to make a couple of little tags that can then be used as toppers or as part of a page in a journal, or as little tags that you can use for journaling on in a junk journal or something like that, or if you're into any bullet journaling, you can use it as little things in bullet journals. So I've decided I'm going to use up some of my scraps. So I've pulled out a couple of pieces. These are all from JMC Designs. You can see none of them are full-size sheets of paper. They're kind of bits that I've used part of and then thought, right, let's use up some more of them. I've pulled out a couple of sets of stamps. I'm avoiding using Fred. This is Fred. Fred is gorgeous. I'm slightly in love with Fred, but I'm not going to use him today. But I am going to use, I think, this little piece here, which is why I've pulled that, and also there's some nice little cross stitches there that I might use. I'm thinking that this is going to play quite a big role in whatever I make, although it doesn't fit on in its entirety, so I'll need to choose part of it. And I've also picked up this one, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use it. I might use the buttons or possibly the bumblebee. We'll see. But they're the stamps that I've got. I've got my what are these called? Watercolours, that's what they're called. Oh, I've got this set of stamps as well. So they're all JMC Design stamps. I've got my watercolours here so that we can add in some colour. So these are just my watercolour half pans. There's a couple of different brands in there. Obviously it's an Arteza box with 36 watercolours, and then I've added my other set that was, I want to say Newton and Ridley, but I know that Newton and Ridley is the brewery from Coronation Street. Windsor and Newton, that's it. See, I know these things really. So yeah, that's my watercolours that I'm going to be delving into, and let's see what we end up making, because I haven't really got a clue apart from the fact it's going to be on a base of these. So we'll start with one and see how we end up. I've even remembered to get scissors out, which is quite good. I'm going to go turquoise, I think, to start with this one. I do like this corner. Do I want to cover the whole tag? I don't think I do. Let's do a rough chopped round, and then we know we've got enough length and width, so even if we cut it, like tear it down or cut it down, we'll still be able to cover the whole length or width. Now it's this corner that I particularly like, and I'm just thinking I'm going to go across there. Yeah, let's just do that. Just do it. Just tear across. Now I've turned it towards me so that the white edge is on the bit that I'm not using, and I've maintained the colour on that edge. And then, yeah, that's a good base. So we will stick that on with a little bit of gel medium. This is just the first pot I grabbed, which is actually my Liquitex gel medium, but you can use gel medium glue, whatever you've got. Wet glue, if you want to use double-sided tape, you can use that. This is just what I happened to lay my hands on whilst prepping for the video. A bit too much on there, a bit over enthusiastic in my application. I am trying to get it on the feathered edge right to the end, because I do want that feathered edge to stick down, but I'm not worried about the colouring of it, because we are going to be adding some other colour. I do want to maintain some of that lovely turquoise though. Right, we'll do it from behind, because then we can align it up a little bit better. So I don't often work on such small tags, so this is actually a little bit of a challenge. One of the advantages of using gel medium for something like this is that it's very easy to reposition, because it takes a little bit longer than some of your other wet glues to dry off, to cure. Just clear off the little bit of glue that I've overlapped, and then I'm just going to trim these little edges just so that I know that anything else that goes on is actually going onto actual usable paper as opposed to onto the overhanging waste. Okay, so that's the beginning. I'm going to pop my lid back on my gel medium. What do I want to do now? I'm quite liking the idea of the bee. That's in my mind now that I've seen it. I'd forgotten about the bee, but I like the bee. I've done all my prep and forgotten my stamping blocks. If I get the right trolley, I can find my stamping block. My usual stamping block isn't in place. Well, we'll use this one. I'm sure it's somewhere in a heap in my craft room. Right. I've not put that on yet, but I know I want to use the bee, and I know I want to use this piece here. I think this is going to do some sort of edging. And I'm thinking I'm going to run it down that edge like so, and I will do that in pink. So I've now got my pink and my black inks. Apparently I like this in pink because it's the main colour that you can see on it. Right, so this is only to give it a bit of edging, add a bit of interest. There we go. That's that done. And then I'm going to give this a quick blast because there's quite a lot of ink there. That's pretty much dried off. Right, so what are we going to do next? I want to put some colour in along here, so I'm going to use my watercolours with a water brush. This set's really nice because it came with a water brush. This isn't the one it came with, but it did come with a water brush, and it's one of the things I like about it. Now when I'm using the water brush with my watercolours, I literally just give it a squeeze and then pop it onto the colour that I want. So on this one I'm going for this lovely pink, so we're keeping the theme of pink, but I'm just bringing a little bit of colour back here and take away. It's probably adding a little bit of an edge actually looking at it because it's absorbing more on the torn edge, but that's fine. This isn't sticking for some reason. Oh, how disappointing. It appears that gel medium isn't working. Right, what can we do? We can get another tub of gel medium. One that I know does work. There we are, there's my other gel medium. There we go. Give this a clean and use a different gel medium. Wonder why that's not worked. Oh well, these things happen. So the gel medium that I've now resorted to is the Pretty Gets Gritty gel medium, which is the one I usually use, to be honest. But that really hasn't taken. No, it's taken there. Just needs a little bit of a touch up there. That's fine. I wonder why that didn't stick. Very peculiar. Anyway, we'll not worry ourselves with that. We'll just carry on. Right, I'm liking that so far. I'm quite liking the idea of a bumblebee stamped onto this paper. There's my bumblebee. We don't want it in pink, we want it in black. So if you've watched many of my videos, you'll know VersaFine Clay is my go-to for stamping, but it's particularly useful if you're going to be doing colouring with a wet medium, because it's permanent, so once it's dried it's not going to start being troublesome when you start putting watercolours over the top of it. I'm heating this so that I don't smudge it, because I'm very skilled at smudging things. I've chosen an area of the paper that's got the kind of colours roughly that I'm looking for. So this is where you realise that your tiny little bits of paper are very, very useful. So I'm going to leave an intentional little bit of a border around here. And I'm not the best at cutting out, which is why I'm leaving the border. If you do get any like overhanging pieces like that, just cut them off or rip them off so that they don't get in your way. Usually when I cut out, I use my magnifying glass that's on my lamp, because as I'm getting older I'm discovering that my eyesight's not what it used to be, but it's a bit hard to use it when I am on camera. So don't judge me for the poor cutting out. Right, that's cut out, and now he needs a little bit of colour. So where's my tag gone? There it is. So you can see he's kind of in keeping with the general tone, but I just want to exacerbate him a bit more. Exacerbate him? Highlight him? I don't know what word I'm looking for. Right, let's try this. There's a little purpley colour. Do we like that purple? Oh yes, we like that purple. So we'll use that purple and we'll colour his wings. Oh, we maybe need a little bit more. So I'm just using my mat as my palette. I'm not getting a separate palette out, I'm just using the mat. The thing that I like about this bee is that the stripes are tape measures. I just think it's really clever. Julia's got an amazing ability to come up with very clever ideas. Right, when I'm cleaning my water brush, I'm literally just getting, I'll show you on a clean piece, a bit of a raggy, and you squeeze the side of your water brush and it pushes water through the bristles, and then I just give it a wash around until it comes out clean. So you can see there's a lot of colour to begin with, and then it comes out clean. Okay, and then I'm ready for the next colour. So I'm going to go back in for the pink, because I quite like that pink, and I think it would look nice on here. Now I've actually got too big a brush for this. I did have another water brush. Do you have any water in you? No, you're totally empty. Oh, here's another one. Oh, that one's got water in. I'll use this one because it's got a finer nib on it. Going to make it easier for me to get in to colour these stripes. So bear in mind when you're doing any of your crafting that this is a fantasy world. Your crafting is what you make it. So who cares that bees generally are perceived as being black and yellow? We can make them whatever colour we want them to be. Right, I shall give that a quick blast. Right, so we now have a little bumblebee, and what else do we want on there? I think the bumblebee might need some flowers. Which flowers? Out of the sets I've picked up, I've got 4 flowers. You know what, I do have a favourite flower out of Julia's, and it's this one, so I'm just going to use that. Do I want this in black or in pink? I think we'll have it in the black. And then we can stamp it off the page, still have it as a background, and bearing in mind because the bumblebee is going to be separate, it's going to be coming off the page anyway, so it's going to stand out, so we don't need to worry, these are still going to be in the background, but I'm going to intentionally keep them on the turquoise. There we go. Yeah, I like that. Now they need a little bit of colour, so the colour that's going to be added to them, I think needs to be the purple really, doesn't it? So let's go for the purple. Bring it down onto the mat. Give them a quick blast because the ink's not quite dried. So this is starting to look quite pretty and quite not me, because it's not got a lot of grunge, but give it a chance. There is still a chance for the grunge to come in, and it will. It will. Maybe not in its entirety, but there will be a hint, a little nod to grunginess. So I'm putting this on, and then I'm going to go back in and get a different colour of purple. I don't know why I said purple like that. I think it's something that I heard at a young age and have continued to use. I don't even know that it's a particular area accent, I don't know where it's from. Anyway, not to worry. Right, so we've got our purple there, and then I'm going to go in for a much deeper, much darker colour, and because nearer to the middle is going to be dark, and I just want to make sure that I've not got too much paint on here and too much water, because I want it to be quite fine. So I'm just adding a little bit of darkness nearer to the centre of the flower, because that's where less light comes in, which is why it is darker. So one of the things that you'll hear Julia talk about a lot if you ever watch any of her videos is just using a darker mid and a light tone to add depth, and I try and stick to that. But Julia is an amazing colourist. She can colour in all sorts of things using different mediums. She's got a real skill for it. I'm more of a splash it on and see what happens kind of girl. Right, I think these flowers might need a yellow middle, so we'll give them a bit of yellow. And no, that's not yellow, I meant pink. Despite saying yellow, I meant pink. We don't want yellow on this, we want pink. We need a little bit more pink. I want it to be a little bit darker, so I need to get more pigment from my watercolour. So that's less water, more paint, make it thicker. So you can see the difference there between the two. This one's got a lot more darkness, a lot more colour in it, whereas this one's quite light. So if I go back and get a lot more pigment from the watercolour there, we have a darker middle on that one and a darker middle on that one. I'm not going to colour these other bits because they've already picked up the colour that's behind them, so I'm intentionally not going to pick them up, colour them up. Pick them up? Colour them up. Right, we're getting there. We're getting there. Just clean my water brush off. I'm going to pop you to one side while we choose a sentiment. Let's clean up some of this paint. What sentiment should we have? I'm thinking, actually, I've just seen Good Times, and that's perfect. That's the one I'm going to go for. So I'm going to put my sentiment here. I'm not going to be adding, usually I would put it on a separate piece and add more layers to it, but I'm not going to do that. But I do want him to stand out a bit more. So to do that, I'm going to get some gesso. Just bear with me. I'll find my white gesso. There it is. So I've got the Pretty Gets Gritty white gesso, which is my go-to gesso. And I just want to put, this is what not to do. I've obviously not washed this brush. It's still pink, and I now have pink in my gesso. But that's fine, we can work with that on this because we're doing pinks and purples anyway. Palette. Just get a palette knife and take this colour out. I'm not worried about taking it out because I know that I've got another tag that I'm doing, so we can always use it on that. So don't panic if you do get colour into your paint, just carefully lift it out. Right, that's a nice pale pink now. So we want it roughly in that area. Okay, is that big enough? Not quite. I'll do the whole of this corner then. There we go. Yep, that works. Right, now while I've got this, I'm going to pull in my other tag and just paint it up. Turns out we're having a pink tag. The other option is to get an art journal out or something like that and actually put the colour into that rather than wasting it. But a pink tag works. It's a good base. A good base. There we go. Okay, pop that out of the way, and I do have a jar of water. It's just behind me. Okay, hopefully some of that pink will come off in that jar of water now. Right, we do also have quite a lot left over, so I'm going to get this little art journal that happens to be floating alongside. Got a page there that needs a bit of colour. Use the same brush. Let's get some of this paint up. So this is one of the advantages of having your art journals, because you can just add layers of colour and it's all the beginning of a page. I've no idea what I've already put on here, but whatever it is, it's picking up some of the yellow off it. As you can see, we're mixing in with yellow, so I don't know how this is going to end up, but it's the beginning of a page, it's a background, it's a starting point. So it looks horrific, but don't panic, it will become a beautiful page. Okay, so that can pop back over there and carry on drying, and let's clean up some of this mess. So if you get acrylic on your mat and you want to clean it up, water does the job if you get it when it's still fairly loose, fairly damp. Once it's dried off, you might need to give it a bit more of a scrub, but that's okay, it comes off. Right, I'm going to quickly blast these just to dry off the acrylic. Okie dokie. That's pretty much dry. Still got a little bit of damp, never mind. Right, so he stands out a lot more now because we've got a lighter colour behind him, and that's what I was after. So he can go there, and I want my sentiment there. So where did I put my stamping block? I'm feeling a tad chaotic today. You may have noticed. I used my stamping block and I put it where? I have no idea. Oh, it's here. I can't see it because it's on here. Oh. Right, make sure it's the right way around. We want that in black because we want it to stand out. If you're stamping a small stamp and you're worried about wobbling, here's a neat trick. Get another small stamp and put it on the other side of your stamping block. Don't stamp it up obviously because you don't want to use it, but it just stabilises your stamping block. So I can put that down and it's not going to wobble despite it being quite a narrow thing. So you get a perfect image, you don't get that wobbly image. Okay, good times. Oh, that's gesso, Angela. You don't want gesso, you want gel medium. Right, stick a little bit of gel medium on. If in doubt, use your finger. I pretend that I'm organised and use spatulas and things, but I just don't. A lot of the time I don't. I do on occasion, but a lot of the time I don't. Right. So this one I'm going to pop to one side. It's not finished, but it's on its way. And let's have a look at this one. So apparently we've now got pale pink background. So we could continue the concept of pinks by using some of this. So that's the pink bit there. So I'm going to do a similar thing. I'm going to use some of the paper, roughly cut round it because I don't know how much I want to use. I'm going to use decent gel medium this time and then decide where to place this. Like that, but I actually want a straight edge on it, so I'm going to go like that, so it's roughly straight. Yep, that works. A little bit of gel medium. So I'm just spreading it on with a spatula. Nothing high tech. That's it on. Put the excess back in the jar. Pop the lid back on. I'm getting good at forgetting to put my lids back on at the minute. It's a bit annoying. I don't know why it's becoming so troublesome. So again, I'm going to do it from behind so that I can see the overlap. Get much more movement with this gel medium than with the other one I tried. So the thicker your layer, the more movement you get. There we go. Right, wipe up that gel medium. So you can see my raggies wipe up everything. It's a case of find a dry bit or a clean bit and give it a wipe. So I know I've got lots of gel medium on here, so I'm going to trim it back with my sticky scissors. Yes, I did actually use the wrong scissors on the last one. I used my paper scissors, which is a criminal offence in my books. But hey ho, we all make mistakes. And I don't think that the scissors are going to become unusable as a result, so I'm not going to stress about it. Right, oh, I'm liking that. I do rather like this paper, I must admit. Okay, so what do we want to do with this? Now there is a fabulous stamp in here, this one, although we have got writing. Do I want more writing? I don't know. I think we might just have some little fun buttons. And I want the buttons coming down this side in the pink. I don't want them in pink. Let's have them in black. So I'm doing them in black because I'm thinking I'll colour them in. There we go. Again, I'm going to turn it round this time so that I can fit them on going this way. Now bear in mind we've got the little knobbly bit at the top of the tag here, so I'm not expecting a perfect print. Oh, but I got a perfect print. Way! How cool is that? I do like it when things print well when you don't expect them to. It's exciting. So this is a really simple tag, and this is something I'm thinking for journaling, really, so that the back of it can still be used for journaling. Despite having paint on it, we can resolve that. Something that I've often wondered about is, what do you do when you make a mess on the back of your tags? That one's actually relatively clean, but this one's got lots of nice ink on it, paint on it, and you can just paint it. It's that simple. Just paint it white, use gesso on it. It is that simple. Right, so let's see, what colours should we use for our flowers? Let me pull these in a little bit and we can see them. So I am thinking the turquoise would be good, because we've got a hint of turquoise here. I think this is going to be too green. Let's have a look. Actually, it's not bad. Maybe needs a little bit of white. As you can see, my white pan is my most used pan. I add white to lots of different colours. Oh, that's better, a bit more gentle. Right, soak off some of it because we don't want all that colour. And it's just a pastel-y look that I'm going for. I'm not looking for deep, deep colour. It's just a bit of pastel colouring in. I'm actually thinking it might have been easier to use Inktense for doing these buttons, but never mind, we've got this now. And don't forget the joys of a white pen if you want to add a little bit more apparent light and shade. White pens are wonderful. I think I use them on nearly every project I make. I do love these stamps. And just fab. I love this paper. This is one of my favourites. It's not my favourite. I think that's my second favourite out of all the papers that Julia's done. My favourite is the swash of rainbow colours. I just love that. Right, I now want a little bit of purple. So we'll put some purple in. And we'll do the circles in purple. So for this one, I'm thinking I'm going to have to put some additional an additional piece of card or paper onto here with the sentiment, because it's a very busy background, and if there isn't the additional piece of paper, whatever I stamp is going to sit too much in the background. So that's how I'm going to overcome that issue. And I'm going to do it onto another piece of paper. There we go. Okay, we're getting there. So the sentiment for this one, I'm thinking, is going to be Crazy Friends. I'm going to use the exact same concept of the anti-rock stamp. So we've got one stamp here, the stamp we're going to use here, and what paper? And we've got this paper, it matches in with the tones, so let's use it. Let's stamp onto that. If we don't like it, the worst we've done is lose a bit of paper. Get my black ink pad, a little bit of ink, a little bit of a stamp. So instead of it wobbling, wibbly wobbling, that's now nice and steady because of that other stamp. It's just a really useful thing when you're doing stamps that are a bit narrow or a bit small. Blasty, blasty, blast. Cut it out. Right, so we now have that, and I'm thinking if we had come here another layer, that would make it stand out more. I think that colour is actually the right colour. Let's try it. So I'm not going to stick it down because I'm not convinced that I'm going to like it, but I'm going to roughly cut it out just to see how it's going to look. Apparently roughly cut it out very, very badly, but hey ho, it'll give us a good idea. No, I don't like it. I don't like it. But what I do like is that pink. We'll try that one. See, sometimes you try something and it doesn't work, and that's okay. Trying to get as much of the pink as I can. Right, I'm just going to cut out that whole piece of pink. I think that's going to work, so I'm going to be brave and stick it down. Gel medium, one's finger. See, when I've been crafting for a while, I just end up messy because I just stick my finger in things. I think half the time it's because I lose stuff, so I don't know where what I actually need is, but that works for me. Oh, you know what I want to do before you stick? Come back. Is get a black ink pad, get my stays on, and just give you a little bit of an edge, just to make you stand out a bit. So you can see I'm not panicking about my gel medium drying out because I know it won't. I'm going to turn it over on a clean bit. Press it down because I've got filthy hands, and then we've just got a nice little bit of a frame. Now I'm going to do this because one corner's missing, so So let's make the opposite corner missing as well. Crazy friends. Yeah, I'm liking that now. Right, this needs a black edge as well. There we go. And then this needs a bit of gel medium to stick it on. So these aren't particularly complex little tags, they're just a little bit of fun. Right, so we are nearly there. Let's clear some of these things off to the side that we don't need anymore. Right, so that's the overall tags. But to me, they're not finished. They haven't got the RGB factor. This one needs a little bit more sticking. Let's just stick a little bit of gel medium there. And always remember, you can do that with it. You can come back in and stick things if they don't stick. Don't panic about things not sticking. Right, so the RGB factor is the grunge. So it's not just let's darken up the edges, which we are, but I also like to bring the black onto the page. I remember the first time I ever did this, I nearly died because I was just like, oh, I'm putting black, and I'm not a girl who uses black, believe it or not. I don't own black clothes. Do I own black shoes? I don't think I actually own black shoes. I have black trousers, that's it. I've never in my life had a little black dress. I've never had black jumpers. It's just not a colour that I use, but in my art and craft I do like a little bit of black. And I like the way that it finishes a piece to me, because I like this grungy look. If you don't like it, you don't need to put the extra ink on. You can just keep it much cleaner, but to me, I like it. Right, so the other thing that we need to do is good old white pen. I'm hoping this one's working, because some of my white pens have stopped. Oh, this one's got yellow on it. Let's see if we can remove that. I must have been working with yellow. Let's try another piece. There we go. Right. So just so I don't end up with black where I don't want it, I'm going to very quickly blast these. Okay, so the ink that I used around the edges was the Stays On ink, which is a solvent based ink, and the reason that I tend to use that around the edges is because it dries faster, and also it goes well on top of acrylic, whereas the VersaFine Clair isn't a fan of sitting on top of the acrylic. You have to blast it, you then have to blot it, you have to make sure that it actually does what you want it to do, so it doesn't sit as well, whereas this you know is going to dry quite quickly because it's solvent based. So as soon as the solvent evaporates off it, then you've got a permanent ink. Okay, I also need a black pen, which I have here. So my black pen will go with first. We're going to give this little buzzy bee a little bit of a path that is followed, just because it's cute. And then let's add some bits of highlighting. Yeah, these pens are not liking me at the minute. Let me grab another white pen. See if I can get one of these to work. Oh, that one's working better. Pop you away for now and we'll use this one. So we're just adding in some little bits of highlight with the white pen, just so that we know that there is somewhere in this a source of light which is giving us the highlights. And then we need some on the buzzy bee. I do love this little buzzy bee, he's so cute. And then I'm thinking we can actually highlight that a little bit and do the same up above. So I'm just reducing the length of my line just so that it's drawing the eye into that sentiment. There's one. And then on this one I'm gonna look at the light source being over here. So even though some of these have moved around, the light source is still going to be roughly the same, so I'm just going to stick to the same side. Okay. This one I feel like it still needs some highlighting, so I am going to do a little bit of an edge here, just to finish off my sentiment. And I'm also going to do an edge around the whole thing, as I would on cards and journal pages, just as a finishing off, because I feel it's lacking it. I'm not convinced that one is, so I'm just going to do it on this one. And it's down to personal preference as to whether or not you do this, but it is something that I like to do. So there we go, and I'm going to do my little squiggles on a couple of points. So one of the things I like about this paper is the little squiggles are actually in keeping with the paper as well. On this one I don't think I need to do that. I'm actually quite happy with that one, so I'm going to leave that one as is. So there you have two little tags made using JMC Designs paper and stamp sets. I'll put pictures of them up on my Facebook page, which is Angie B Cards and Crafts. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it interesting and informative and fun, and I hope it's inspired you to do some other crafting of your own. Thanks for joining me. Bye bye.